welcome to Geeking This, where we geek out about stuff that we like and we want our friends to like as well. I am Peter, also known as Mr. Brad 16. Geek brother is Mr. Tony, sir.
Hey, everybody.
Actually, goddamn, you know what? It's so funny. We've been friends for so long. I forget that we actually are brother-in-laws now.
That's hilarious. Actually, that's such a good point. Yeah, I know, right? Because it's just, you just fall into that trap of, yeah, we're friends because we've been friends for a million years. But actually, there is a little bit of formal relationships. Yes, we are indeed brothers and
Yeah,
laws.
we're actually, we should throw that title around. We're brother-in-laws. That's great. That's just funny that I came to that realization.
Yeah.
So I remember that big party you threw. It was great. Then Tony's like, "You mean my wedding?" Oh yeah.
Should do that again. Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Anywho, so in this podcast we will be talking about. We're going to talk about some Orville. Be starting the new season of the Orville, and then Tony turned me on to Titans. So we're going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of that. You know what? Let's go into the Orville first, and then we'll go into Titans.
Sounds good. So
in this, how ironic! In this episode of the Orville, season 1, episode. I got them.
Season 2.
Episode 1, season 2. Thank you, sir. We kind of get to talk about all the characters' relationships, and we get back into, like, it's a great first episode. I'm sure people didn't like this episode because they might have felt that it was slow, not so action-packy. But I like this one because it kind of gets you reacquainted with everybody and see how they're doing.
Yeah, so exactly right. We had talked about in the last episode about how a lot of the criticism for this season is because it's not as spacey adventure-y as the previous season, and we had talked about how we actually like that. And so this is a great example of that, where it's building upon the relationships in the ship, which is just as entertaining because, I mean, if you think about it, there's a whole population of people out in floating around space. So how do the dynamics work? Like, literally, how do they go to school? How do the kids do daily activities? And it turns out it's quite similar to common problems we face, so it's relatable.
Yes, sir. And if I put on my, let me put on my Spock ears here. Is this your first time seeing, like, sort of how life works on a spaceship, sir?
Yeah, basically, because this is really my only show that I've invested in that is based in space. Of course, movies I don't think count because that's a whole other story. But in terms of TV shows, yes.
So for Star Trek, this is kind of what most of the majority of the episodes are about, especially Star Trek: The Next Generation. The sort of fantastical space battle-y episodes were few and far between, but when you got to them, it was really freaking exciting. Most of it, that's why I was more of a Star Wars guy growing up because it was a lot more action. Watching Star Trek episodes with my sister is like, oh, this is a lot of talking and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of episodes from especially Next Generation are kind of like this, where it's just building up character relationships and dealing with ship problems on the ship, and then eventually they'll go on to a planet and stuff. So yeah, and then they even showed schools there. Again, Dr. Finn, who's the actress's name leaves me for the moment. I'll get back to it. But Dr. Finn plays actually a school teacher on Deep Space Nine. She's the school teacher of that whole station. So her class is actually huge because that's a whole space station on Star Trek. Wow. So yeah, so I saw freaking a classroom in space before, I suppose. Another interesting thing is Lieutenant Malloy, the actor who plays him, was actually in The Next Generation, and he played a friend to Wesley, who was played by Will Wheaton, of course, and they actually shared a classroom. And yeah, so it's crazy that I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of Easter eggs. Well, they're not even Easter eggs. They're just like purposeful foundations based off of previous space exploration shows, the big ones, Star Trek. And I think that, again, the whole overall theme here is it's a homage. It's not a parody, and that's what it to be by a lot of people. Like this whole show in general, just a big fat parody. And I mean, it is satire. It is a comedy show ultimately, but they do it in a respectful manner to honor past TV shows that were based in space, and I think that's cool. Building upon that.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, if there's one thing you get out of this podcast is saying that the Orville is not a parody, and I think that's the misconception behind it. And the humor that comes from this show is actually from the characters and the situations, not so much.
Yeah.
Or poking. It's not like a Spaceballs, as I mentioned before.
Right. Yes. Clear distinction there. All right. So you want to get into what the first episode is about? Did you want to break that down?
So basically, what it's about is the relationships between the characters is the overall episode. Mainly, the focal point is Lieutenant Grayson and Captain, God, why is his name forget? Seth MacFarlane. Captain Seth MacFarlane.
Ed Mercer.
Ed Mercer, there we go. Just to me, he's just Seth 100%. So the focal point is their relationship, and we learned at the last episode of season 1 that they cannot be together because the whole captain lieutenant situation is probably a little murky there. So in this one, Kelly Grayson says that she is dating someone, and we get to find out who. And good thing we're talking about the classroom and teaching, because it happens to be the ship's teacher, who's Mr. Cassius.
Yes.
Cassius, I forget how he says it.
Yeah, I don't know. Cassius.
So we get some new characters in this one, as well as a new, what was she, like a science officer that they bring on board?
Cartographer?
New cartographer as well, which is hinted at that might be a love interest to Ed Mercer. So the whole episode's Mercer kind of coming to grips of Grayson dating
having made her
Cassius.
choice.
Yes, and there's this funny scene where they call it a drive-by, where she takes a shuttle and drive-bys the outer window of her room and sees them dating for the first time. And apparently that's a thing, a common thing in this space age, because everyone knows what a drive-by is.
I thought it was so funny. He was just like slowly trolling by.
Yeah, and then he cloaks the ship, which is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
Something
I thought that was.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go first.
I forgot to mention this episode is called Jalala or something like that. It's the great release of Bortus's race, where he goes to they urinate like once a year, and then it's like a thing where they bring family and friends. So the whole reason why it's about dating is because it's bad luck to throw up single to where Bortus pees apparently. So everyone's trying to date.
Man, imagine only peeing like once every X years. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. I like that they're making it funny and trying to because you gotta think what would extraterrestrial life be like, and yeah, Bortus is like the exact opposite of the human race, I would like to say.
Right. So actually, one thing I thought was fascinating, and it's a reoccurring, not a theme, but it's a reoccurring technology in the show, which is the hell's it? That thing that makes food, basically out of magic.
The synthesizer.
Yeah, so first of all, that's fascinating. I would love to learn more. I mean, I don't know how much more you could learn about a fake technology, but I would at least like the mythology of how it's supposed to work. Because if you could just make an unlimited amount of whatever, how is it actually accumulating the molecules and the mass to be able to produce something? Do you have to feed it with garbage and then out comes the food, or is it just pulling it out of thin air? It's just something that's always fascinating me.
You know what? The Orville definitely delves deeper into the synthesizer than it's popularized by Star Trek as well. But they don't really explain it all. It's just scientific magic. but they definitely go and talk about it more here on the Orville. If I had to pander a guess, not being a scientist or an inventor myself, I would say it's sort of like a Minecraft situation where like maybe the ship has X amount of resources for like food material and just normal material, because it can make clothes and shit too. Just creates, and then you have to like refuel your materials. I don't know. That's how I would break it down, like Minecraft.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It just means it's finite. So if that's the case, then that means presumably everybody's allocated a certain amount of conversions. So
Or something.
I wouldn't think you could just go in there and just order 100 Big Macs like every day. I would imagine they like have a cap, like like you could do up to 20 or whatever, because at the end of the day, it still comes from something, and we're floating in space. We really can't go back to get that something. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but the reason why it's fascinating is because these kids, they do what kids do, and which is awesome.
Yeah. So Dr. Finn's son, who I believe is Marcus, is that right? Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah.
He meets a new friend in class, as one does, and this one is sort of a bad influence. Openly cusses out his mother at one point, and they go into the food synthesizer late at night and make a bottle of vodka and start drinking on the holodeck, and then they get captured. What I love about this episode, especially with Dr. Finn's sort of story, is that Isaac is around the humanoid robot person. And I get the sense that one episode where they escaped that Favreau planet, they just became like besties or something, and he's just like all around Dr. Finn's like room and household and stuff. So it's just funny that he's just there.
Yeah, I know. He's kind of becoming I wouldn't say parental figure, but definitely a guardian of sorts.
Yeah, it's just cool to see how those relationships from the first season started and then carry over to this, and it's just great. I hope we see more mix up as the season goes on of different characters, like maybe Isaac and John get together or something like that.
Yeah, dude. So I'm not gonna say anything else, but relationships definitely build in one way or the other, one way or the other.
I had a prediction that we touched on something that was unrecorded, but I'll say it now while we're recording. That I think there's hints of a Mercer / Alara relationship, but you said that was not to past, maybe?
Yeah,
Oh, you said it was more of a father-daughter sort of relationship.
Yeah, they definitely have a relationship, but it's not the traditional man-woman relationship. It is a father figure type relationship that develops. But what's super interesting is, again, because you're carrying over these relationships from the first season and you've made it to the second, it's more impactful when certain shit hits the fan and you're like, oh damn,
my goodness,
yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, like it's great.
Awesome. So that's my Orville fan theory I'm putting up there together. I'm sure someone has that as well as Alara and Mercer. I'm sure there's like fan images, fan art. Anyways, so that happens. Dr. Finn's son gets caught doing that with his new bestie, and they are in a parent-teacher conference with Cassius. And then that sort of gets resolved because Isaac kind of saves the day very logically.
Yes, he does.
Yep. So overall, and then the Mercer and Cassius situation, he kind of comes to realization that maybe Kelly is right about the whole first officer captain situation. So he actually helps Cassius out, and when Cassius and Kelly get into a fight.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really mature of him. It was pretty cool to see him kind of like understand that this isn't going to work out, so he's going to make the best out of the situation.
Yes. So the comedy, I would say, a lot of people's misconceptions more parody-like and slapstick, I think. But it's more straight-laced than you would think. It's more serious than one would think. And so, yeah, they got some serious moments where characters have to come to realizations and stuff. But that doesn't mean the humor is not there at all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I have to have a shout out to God. What was his name? I already forget his name, but he is a great side character. Goes on a blind.
Oh my God! Yes.
I want to say it starts with a D, like Dean or something. But he's great. He was funny little. Where he's the guy who comes up with maybe there should be some elevator music. And
yeah, that guy's hilarious.
I would want to know who's behind the makeup. I'll look up the actor's name, and I'm sure he's a comedian because he's great.
Oh God, now I want to find him. Yeah, what the hell's that guy's name? He's awesome.
Yeah, maybe I'll search that up. I'll come back to it. So your overall, I love. As I said before, I like this episode. I'm sure I can see why maybe people weren't a fan of it just because it's kind of slow goings. But it's great just to reconnect with the characters and see where they are. How did you feel about the episode, sir?
About episode 1?
Yes, episode uno.
Yeah, no, I liked it. No, it was good. I liked it a lot. It was slow, but I was into the family building, relationship building, and I thought it was served as a good introduction to the second season because it really sets the theme for the whole season.
Here's a question. Have not seen Orville at all. Maybe you skip season 1 for whatever reason. Would this be episode 1 of season 2? Would that be a good entry point to the Orville, even if you haven't watched the first season?
Shoot, man. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not gonna lie. I think not really. I think it serves well for somebody who has experienced the previous season. As far as an introduction for somebody who has no familiarity with the Orville, I don't think so. Just because even though the Orville as a whole is about relationships, I mean, you still got the element of space adventures. I think that is a core function of the Orville as a whole. So because this one doesn't even touch on that at all, I'm gonna say maybe it wouldn't be as good. Let's see though. What?
Yeah, I didn't know that answer to the question when I came up with the question just now, so I think you filled it pretty good.
Yeah. I would say a better one actually would probably be the second episode actually.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Excited for that. Yeah, I know. I was realizing when I asked the question, this episode doesn't really introduce the characters. You kind of have to know who everyone is, and that might be a little bit confusing.
Right. So, you didn't see the second episode? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, I did
Okay.
that. So
No
I stopped
worries.
here, and then I kind of watched 2 episodes of the Titans instead.
Oh, don't. Yeah, I understand why.
Yeah,
By the way, that guy, the alien's name in classic Seth fashion, his name is just Dan.
Dan, that's it. I knew it began with the D. Good
Dan.
old Dan. That's
And I guess he's portrayed by I don't know him, but his name is Mike Henry.
Mike Henry. I'm sure he is a comedian. It kind of sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, so
Awesome. Good.
Apparently he's a voice actor, and he's done Family Guy since '99.
Of course.
Wait, wow, he voices Cleveland Brown. I would have never guessed.
Okay. Never mind. We should know definitely who Mike Henry is. Oh, that's great. Yeah, of course, a lot of Family Guy alumni show up in the Orville as well.
Yeah. All right. So you were saying about did you want to transition over to Titans?
Yeah, let's combine these 2 episodes into one whole discussion here real fast, which is easy because it's even though it's got like a runtime of it's like an hour show, it's like 40 minutes or something. It actually goes by pretty fast. I was like, oh, I'm already done with that episode.
Yeah, I know it. That's the great thing about it, where it's just kind of you want to keep going.
Okay, so we get introduced to the Titans, and what's interesting to me is it's kind of, I like to call it the not so Teen Titans,
Well, yeah, for
because
sure.
the only teen is actually Raven in this whole show. Beast Boy too, I guess.
Don't you think he's definitely like younger for sure?
Yeah, definitely younger. So yeah, okay, Beast Boy and Raven are the teens, but definitely Starfire and Robin are adults in this one, and it's a great introduction to Robin. Really, the great story, and like as soon as that first scene showed up where Raven's having this image of his family dying, I knew immediately what it was. Knew immediately what it was setting up, and it was just really, really awesome.
I thought it was so incredible that I got to enjoy and experience that scene in a live action show. I never thought it in a million years out they would portray that, and they did. And to give it to you, like within the first couple moments of the show, I thought that was really special, and that hooked me. And that's kind of what I meant to say about the show constantly gives you dramatic moments and important, notable moments from the comic books, and it shoves it in your face in such awesome ways that it's amazing that we're alive. I mean, we have the whole MCU universe set up, which has given us so many visuals and amazing storylines that we've loved. But quite frankly, it's no surprise, and people won't be shocked to hear me say that I'm not a huge fan of the DC universe. Some of the films are okay, but I think the DC TV series has been slaughtering it. I mean, I think they're just...
That's great.
I think they should really, honestly, just dump all the money onto the DC TV shows and just stop the movies. I mean, I'm way more satisfied with the TV shows than I was with the movies.
I agree. They're starting to do even a reboot with the movie universe anyways. But yeah, this was my first going at the TV series. I haven't watched Flash or The Arrow, or I think I might have seen the first episode there, but I never got into those shows on the CW.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Okay, so let me divorce that a little bit. I haven't seen the CW shows. I've seen Gotham. I've seen Titans,
Gotham, of course.
I've seen Doom Patrol. And I'm very eagerly awaiting Pennyworth, and also maybe kind of sort of I'm vaguely interested in Batwoman. But the CW shows I feel like are still more traditional TV shows, whereas the DC streaming stuff, like the internet, like I think that's where like all the cool stuff is. And it's probably partly because it's more R-rated, and it probably is all related to Daredevil and Punisher and all those great Netflix shows. That really is what originated this style of superhero shows. And DC picked up on it, and they ran with the ball, and they did Titans and did a great job.
Yeah, I think that definitely is the difference. The CW stuff are more formulaic TV, whereas this stuff gets to experiment more, and of course you're going to have a better result if you're doing that stuff.
In terms of the plot, agreed 100%. In terms of the plot, I guess it's pretty basic, like you said. It's an introduction to the characters, and yeah, the star of the show really shines. Freaking Robin, he's got his classic line in there.
What a great moment for Robin! What a great moment in his life to pick from, because I know exactly where it's going. And it's great to see him in a different situation, see him sort of take off the mantle of Boy Wonder and become his own thing.
Right. Awesome. What do you think about the actor himself? I don't even know who this guy is.
This guy is, hold up. God, I just brought it up. Who is this guy? He is in the new Pirates of the Caribbean and plays the son to Will Turner.
Brenton Thwaites?
Yes, and that's where I know him from. He's done some other shows and stuff as well, though.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with him, but I think he's a perfectly cast.
Yes, he is. And then we got Raven's story. I vaguely know Raven's story, as I vaguely know Beast Boy and Starfire's story. Raven's story, she got her inner demons going out, and I wonder, you don't have to answer this question, but I wonder if we'll see her father, because that's kind of important to her story. Starfire I did have questions about, but what I think from the comic books, I might be wrong, is Starfire sort of I'll pull something recent. Starfire is more of like a Phoenix Force type thing, the force that lives within Jean Grey that turns her into this thing. Starfire's story is more like she's an alien entity, this human, this identity on Earth, which was, I think, what they're going for, and a great way to introduce the character. I think that's Starfire's story. I may be 100% wrong, but I like to think that that's what they're going for.
Yeah, so I think I also am no expert on Starfire, but based on the other Teen Titans shows I've seen and the little bits of material I've read about her, I think you got it right. This show makes it a plot point to kind of discuss where she comes from. So they do a little spin that's a tiny bit different, but it works well within the context of the show, and you'll get to learn about that as the show progresses. They do explore. That's the great thing about the show. All these questions we have, they
Get answered.
Yeah.
Perfect. The one thing I will say I dislike about this episode, I like it. It's a great scene by itself, but I feel like they could have saved it, is the Beast Boy scene at the end. I feel like they could have just saved that, and I didn't have to see him right now. I could have just stuck with these two stories. Also, in episode
Right.
1, I feel like they should have circled back to the Starfire story.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, again, so, I'm not going to say it's disjointed because I think it ultimately works really well, but they do a sort of thing where they kind of partition the storylines into different episodes, and then they roll back into them later on. So it feels disjointed, but it really is serving a purpose, which is bits of this storyline, bits of this storyline, bits of storyline, and then they throw it all together eventually, and it all makes sense, and they tie everything nicely.
As a bigger picture,
Right
at the end. Cool. So to vaguely sort of discuss the plot, Raven is being chased, presumably because of her powers and darkness inside her. She meets Robin. She has that vision of Robin's family's death. She meets them in Detroit. They pair up. It's great. Also, the new characters that are introduced, Hawk and Dove, who are actually DC characters.
Yep.
It's cool to see Robin interact with other sort of DC characters, and I'm hoping we get more. We probably do, so you don't have to answer that just yet. I just love the action of it. It really feels like a faster pace, and those two episodes just kind of went really well into each other, and it ends. Episode 2 ends on sort of a down note, so I want to keep watching.
Yeah, so you're going to learn a lot more about those two characters. You're going to learn a lot about other characters as well. They're going to get introduced, as you've already kind of explained off air, that you saw the titles of the episodes, which is fine.
Yes, of course.
But that does tell you basically, like, hey, big shit's coming our way, and it's pretty dope.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love this scene in the Hawk and Dove. God, what a great episode! I really, out of the entire show, I would say those two characters are one of my favorites because I knew nothing about them coming in.
Same here.
But once I left the show, finished it, I was like, damn, I want to learn about these two characters. These people are amazing. A very awesome backstory which gets explored. And so they're kind of like, yeah, I guess they are kind of like Robin in the sense, or at least Hawk is, in the sense that Robin doesn't per se have like superpowers, neither does Batman actually, but they use the resources they have and kind of the fighting skills they have to just be kind of an ordinary guy fighting crime, which is really cool and different from like Superman, who actually can shoot laser beams out of his eye. It's a more humanistic version of a vigilante, a la Daredevil. That again is so cool to me.
Yeah, exactly. You take away Bruce Wayne billions of dollars, and still, like, how does that person become a vigilante? And Hawk and Dove is a good example of that. And I like their relationship and the sort of story arc of Robin. Like, there's other ways to do it rather than what Batman does.
Right. I mean, and by the way, that scene was so cool when he's like about to get
Perfect scene.
castrated, and then like Robin comes out of nowhere and just
Yeah, and even the characters are like, "Whoa, you're different." And that's really badass.
Absolutely.
I think that was the Robin this show needed. And to talk about the title a little bit is interesting. I call Teen Titans. I believe in the comic book. Again, I can be 100% wrong. I'm not a DC book guy. I'm more of a Marvel book guy. But I believe they never refer to themselves as the Teen Titans in the comic book. That's just the title of the book. They do refer to themselves as the Titans, though.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, because you don't want to. It's like the Boy Wonder title. You don't want to refer to yourself as that.
Right. And I think they make a little joke about that or something, right? In the first two episodes.
Hawk definitely says something like, "Yeah, way to go, Boy Wonder," or something like that. Yeah, so I like that it's going into the lore that I do not know of the DC universe. My question to you, sir, is this sort of like how Iron Man was to the MCU? Is this sort of like the building block?
That's a great question. So, are you saying that within the context of the entire show, or just Robin?
Of the entire show and the show as it pertains to the DC Universe TV shows, because I saw a title that I was like, oh. But we'll get to it later. But I feel like it's like Iron Man in the sense of in the MCU, how every sort of other Marvel movie spawned off of that and relates back to that and that sort of thing.
I think so. Now, I haven't seen the other two. How do I? Well, okay. I want to put this. Yes, it is. I'll just say yes because it obviously it connects to another show for sure. Now, I haven't seen Swamp Thing, so I don't know if that correlates. I'm hoping to find out soon. But also, there's another show out there. I'm not going to say anything that may actually surprisingly be related to this show as well.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
So yes, it actually, the more I think about it, it kind of has to be. Yeah, this is definitely the Iron Man. This is the Iron Man of yeah, it's a really important cornerstone.
It definitely feels like it. It feels like that's what they were going for, and what a good base to start with. If the freaking only the DC movies can take a note from this, and like this is how it's done.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I couldn't care less about anything else that's coming out of the DC movies, but as long as they continue with this path, and when the hell is season 2 coming out? Because gosh, I really want to see it already. I know that season 2 is what the hell? They said they've already directed the. Yeah, I'll just look it up real quick. But you can continue.
Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, it's a good show. What a good start to, and also a great beginning show for anyone who just is curious about what they're doing on that app. I've had a better time with it than seeing actual DC movies. What else? I like the story, like where it's going. Kind of don't know where it's going. I wonder why they don't use Cyborg, but I think it's because he was used in the Justice League. But he was definitely a staple to the Teen Titans, so they just need to they need to separate themselves, kind of like how the CW does. They need to separate themselves from the DC movies and just do whatever they want. They need to bring in Cyborg and just do whatever they want.
No comment.
Oh, no comment. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, maybe I gave myself a hint there.
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Alrighty. Are you still researching one season 2?
Yeah, so apparently it said late 2019, so I don't think they've given us a date yet. It's just late 2019.
Alrighty. So maybe the fall season, so coming up maybe.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. So yeah, that's Titans. Give it a watch. There's actually free trials of the DC Universe app going on, so I'm sure you can get like a week and watch it and binge it. Actually, there's actually not that many episodes, like 10 episodes.
Yeah, I know. The crazy thing about this show is it felt how do I put this? It felt like so much more happened than there's actually episodes.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect for a
and
show.
yeah, and also I think it's got way more freaking episodes. Rather, I think Doom Patrol has way more episodes than Titans.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
It is. I don't know. Titans has what's the episode count? I think 12 is what it was. Let me
Yeah,
take
it was
11.
like
I think it's
little bit
11.
above 10. Okay, perfect.
11. And then Doom Patrol, I think I want to say it's 15.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
15. Yeah.
What's really great, even having not watched Doom Patrol, and say we're using the analogy of the MCU movies, I like to think that, so definitely this is the Iron Man of the universe, but I would like to say that Doom Patrol is maybe sort of the Guardians of the Galaxy of the DC universe.
Oh, that's hilarious because I think you got it right. Holy God, I couldn't have put it better. That's really smart. That's
Yeah,
actually
so
exciting.
those are my Marvel DC analogies. You know what? There was a time back in, of course, in the Tim Burton days when the Batman was around, and even before that when the Christopher Reeve Superman was around, that it was primarily everything was DC. Everyone loved DC. And what an interesting shift that it's like everyone loves Marvel now.
That is interesting. And you know, just quickly adding back to the previous comment you made, yes, it is the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 of the DC TV show universe, coupled with, and importantly coupled with, F-bomb, what's that guy's name? Wears a red suit, is
Iron
funny,
Man.
no, red suit.
Star-Lord?
No, damn it, he's very...
Deadpool?
Deadpool. There it is. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart there. But yeah, Deadpool. And that is intentional because they do some funny stuff that's kind of like, whatever. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh my god, I'm excited for Doom Patrol now. I really am. I've been excited because I'm a big Brandon Fraser fan. I love him. I loved him in The Mummy and pretty much everything he's done. And yeah, I'm excited to see how he acts as the robot.
It's great.
Wonderful. And Comic-Con's coming up, and I think they have a panel, so I'm gonna try to get myself into a seat there.
Yeah, man, you really should. Holy crap. They're probably going to do a badass trailer, I presume.
Perfect. I'll FaceTime you as it's going on.
There we go.
Okay, so I actually had... this is a good segue into Virgin Year. I actually have 2 Virgin Years, so I'll do one, and I'll get into the other one if we have time. So the Virgin Year that I have... so interesting that we're talking about Marvel, because in this Virgin Years that I have, the whole Marvel crew, it was a dinner with Robert Downey Jr., Jon Favreau, Tom Holland, the Russo brothers, and Kevin Feige are at dinner. And what they were talking about that after Christian Bale's Batman, they wanted that time to give Iron Man some time before the release because Batman ruled, DC ruled before Iron Man came in. So they almost they wanted it to be in, I think Robert Downey Jr. is they wanted to be in a different playoff season as the DC movie. So they actually waited a strategic amount of time to release the Iron Man movie and even reveal it at the Comic-Con before.
Huh. Wow.
This show where this conversation take place is called The Chef Show. Jon Favreau. Have you ever heard of the movie called The Chef?
The what?
It's just called The Chef.
No.
Awesome. So that is a great little independent movie created by Jon Favreau, where he is a chef in a food truck, and it's just about him being a chef, and like it's one of the like a great show for foodies because it like really truly represents food rather than like it's like the live action Ratatouille pretty much is the closest thing you're gonna get.
Really? Wow! Holy crap!
Yeah, because like some shows, some movies use fake food and stuff, and this one they really paid attention to the details. Favreau actually went through training to be the chef on the movie, and this show is on Netflix called The Chef Show. Is pretty much the continuation of his training because he loved it so much that he just wanted to keep cooking with the teacher, his chef teacher, and it's them visiting different restaurants and talking to special guests, including the whole Marvel cast in that dinner I was talking about.
What the?
Yeah, it's great. It's 10 episodes on Netflix.
I have never heard of this show or that movie. This is right up my alley. That's incredible.
For some reason, I'm loving like food shows more and more. I don't know why. Probably just because everything looks delicious.
Damn, that's so sick.
Okay, and then my other virgin years involves this image, which I'll post up now.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can get to the Discord. All right, let me take a gander. Posted an image. Click on the image. Where is it taking me? Banjo-Kazooie!
Oh, you already know who he is. Okay, perfect. So as a not so virgin years for Mr. Tony, did you ever play the game itself?
I mean, on the original console a million years ago.
Perfect.
I don't know.
Yes.
So what? They're making a comeback or something?
I wish, but he's being added to Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo Switch as a playable character, and I just went back and I'm starting to play the original game because back in the day I would get frustrated as a kid and not collect everything. So now I actually am collecting everything, and it's a great casual game for anyone.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that game. Holy crap, that's cool. Yeah, cool. They're really doing a lot of versions of the old characters over into the Super Smash Bros. It's a shame that I don't really know anything about. Well, I know a lot about Super Smash Bros. I just, to be frank, this might be a cardinal sin. I'm not really that into it.
I mean, yeah, it's a different sort of party fighting game than one would expect. It's not more like traditional, like how we're used to, like Street Fighter and that sort of stuff.
Maybe it's just because I never got hang of the controls.
Yeah, it's actually I don't know if it's supposed to be intuitive, but yeah, it's.
I just don't know if it's intentionally supposed to be a button masher. I don't know if that's intentional or if
it definitely is.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then you can get frustrated with all the items, and what I get with especially is just overwhelmed with the amount of input on the screen.
Right.
What's funny is I have that video of us playing with our previous podcast. Our family, I have that of us playing it on the Wii U, so I still have that video, which is funny. And to talk about the previous podcast, so another virgin years for this podcast is I've been playing Banjo-Kazooie on a site called Vizzed.com. Do you remember me talking about this before?
No.
So Vizzed.com, in the days of where emulations on PC are super hard to do now, and then Nintendo's really cracking down. You can't even find a lot of Nintendo titles, but you can still find other titles from other developers to play on the PC. What Viz.com does, and it's called Retro Game Room, the service that it does, is you get to rent out, quote unquote, these games and play them via your browser. And that's what I did with Banjo-Kazooie. And they give you login points. You get points for being active in the forum, and then these points you use to rent out these games.
Can you just pay money to rent them?
I think you can, and then just have It's pretty much unlimited access because I haven't ran out of points at all.
Oh, wow.
What they're doing is to get sort of within legal means is you're renting out the game from the site and you're playing it on your browser, and it's perfect. You don't need I think you need to download one thing to get it going. That's just a browser application. But then it's really small. It's like 50 megabytes or something. But then you can just play all these games from the past that are being emulated through the browser.
What in the world? This is the greatest technology I've heard of. So
Yes.
I'm seeing. So this is what doesn't make sense to me. I'm on the website. I presume this is all just like not legit, but they have Xbox One and PS4 games. I don't think that's accurate, right? There's no way that.
So they do. It says other games on there. They've got all the way up to Dreamcast emulated. Everything else is it's also just a community and forum for games as well, and they do reviews on there as well.
That makes sense. I wouldn't think they could emulate a PS4 on the browser.
So it's actually viz.com/retro game room is the one where you actually get into playing of the games.
Yeah, that's badass. Super cool. Wow, time playing your game.
Yeah, your old games, because you don't want to get into like downloading all the emulations and stuff like that, which is maybe not within legal means, or there might be some viruses on that. So this is a lot safer, more legal way to play games.
Super cool. All right.
Yes, so that is my virgin years. Anything else you would like to discuss?
Yeah, I don't really have anything right. Sorry, I didn't really come that.
No worries. I like to add in like stuff because
the only thing I can.
Virgin years is our meat and potatoes, so I like to tell you about new things, and maybe you'll have new things to tell me next time. So it's no worries.
The only thing I can really talk, and I mean, this is more of a just tossing it out there as a thought for people not really a virgin years, is I did see that Crash Bandicoot came out with the re-released video game.
Team Racing.
Yeah, so I wanted to check that out at some point because that looks really fascinating.
Very, very, very good things about it.
Oh, good, because I heard
also the new Sonic Racing game I heard is also good.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a new Sonic game. What?
Yeah, so yeah, those two racing games came out like relatively close to each other, and they're both. I've heard both good things about it.
Oh, good. That's awesome because I've been looking for a new racing game. It's cool, and it's interesting to me that they allowed it to be on the Switch. I think that's really fascinating.
Yes, of course.
All right,
we're getting past the point of console warfare. I think we're getting.
Yeah.
Eventually, everyone's gonna get together.
The Dreamland is coming.
Yeah, if Sony, Spider-Man, and Marvel taught us anything, it's that people can work together. Damn it!
If anything, if for but the interest of money, which is fine.
Yes, I don't care. Just give it to me now. So yeah, we're gonna be talking more about the Titans. Definitely talking about more of the Orville, and talking more about other stuff. And this is Peter, and also Tony. We're going to sign off now. Sign off, sir.
All right, see you guys next time.
Yeah, keep it here on Geekin This. Later.